Hey guys, my name is Steve Jabber and I'm going to start dating again at the age of 50. And there are three main reasons why I hope this is going to work for me. And if you stick around, you'll find out some things that you probably didn't expect. And the first main reason is I'm going to leave these green, leafy shores of England, a rural town in the West Midlands, and I'm heading off to Tbilisi in Georgia. And the reason I'm going there, the main reason, is that they have a 1% internet or small business entrepreneur scheme. So 1% of everything that you earn, you have to pay to the Georgian government. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds a hell of a lot better than 20 or 30% you need to pay as a limited business company owner in the United Kingdom, maybe even more. But the advantage of Tbilisi in Georgia is that it's a big city, I think about 1.5 to 2 million people. And despite my great years, having had experience of going to Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, and so on, I suspect that a lot of these women, maybe even 25, all the way up to 30, 35, might be interested in me as a greying, slightly older man with some experience behind him. So that's the first point. It's called geo-arbitrage, and I think that's going to work in my favour. And I actually hear very good things about Tbilisi in Georgia. Now, the next thing that's working in my favour is that over the last 4 months, I've lost about 14.5 kilos. As you can see on the screen, I was an absolute fat monster at 103 kilos. Now I'm a relatively svelte 88 kilos, having lost this 14.5 to 15 kilos. And I think there's something about a guy that's older, and I'm age 50 now, that will hopefully appeal to a certain, maybe slightly battered 30-year-old Georgian woman in Tbilisi. So there's the experience of dating in countries all over the world, and there's also being relatively sorted, having an internet business, getting some money coming in, and dating women, not say out of my league, that I think are reasonable. You know, maybe 25 is actually beyond me now. We might not be able to do that. But 30, 35, 40, I think my standard to be realistic. And so I've got a good shot, hopefully. Now, the other advantage of doing this and starting off abroad, again, at the age of 50, is especially in a city like Tbilisi, and especially actually given what's happening in the West, especially the UK and to a certain extent the United States. You know, we have a big passport bro movement, and a lot of guys just had enough with dating in the West. They say it's impossible. I can't really answer that. I don't know if it is. But there will be more of a scene in Tbilisi than there is in this small little town in the West Midlands, that's for sure. So I'm going to go to expat events. I'm going to go to groups, social groups, and so on, in the hopes that I'll meet, you know, like an expat girl or a local girl in doing this. And I'm also going to stay in like 1 or 2 areas. So I'm going to rent an Airbnb in Tbilisi, at least to begin with, and stay in the same sort of area. So visit the same coffee shops, maybe even go to a bar, go to the same bars again and again, meet some people from the social groups, and then keep going to the same places in the hopes of meeting girls in the same places if I habitually go to the same sort of hangouts and joints like that. And I hope in doing that, I have a chance of building more of a social circle. And also, instead of having to cold approach, like I used to do on the streets, I can meet girls on a sort of day-to-day basis. They can become more comfortable with me. And I can meet girls that way, so just seeing them day to day. Now, the other point I'd mention about Tbilisi in Georgia is that when you go there as an English person, you get a 1 year's instant visa. And I'm actually going to go for residency. This is a 5-year plan. Run my internet business for 5 years, pay as little tax as possible with a 1% scheme, save up and invest via IKBR in various companies, and then return to England maybe after 5 years, at which point I suspect there will be less foreigners here, hopefully. And let's just say a lot of the foreigners that are already here will have a strong incentive to leave. Let me put it that way. And hopefully it'll be a lot more pleasant to sort of retire or semi-retire here, take it easy here after that 5 years, and come back with a Georgian woman. Now, the final reason why I expect this will go well, because I see a lot of pessimism online saying that it's impossible now and the girls' standards are, you know, through the roof. But another reason why I think this will work out well, notwithstanding all that, whether that's true or not, is that at the age of 50, number one, I don't have anything to prove to women anymore. I've had a reasonable amount of experience with women over the years. And number two, beauty doesn't faze me. And number three, is they're all part of the same bracket. Number three is that I'm not as motivated sexually as I used to be. Maybe less testosterone flowing around. But in my late 20s, 30s, I'd see a really hot woman and I wouldn't get tongue-tied, but I'd be so overcome with a desire to bonk her, to bang her. You know, that was kind of the only thing that I could think of, if you could call it thinking. Now, in some strange way, my standards are actually higher, maybe you could say more realistic, but higher, because sex isn't the only thing. You know, I'm interested in her personality. In other words, I think I'm more likely to qualify girls. And that was the recent experience I had a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, when I traveled around Eastern Europe. I was qualifying girls harder than I used to do because I wasn't so obsessed with just getting them into bed. I was actually interested in what kind of person they are and whether I could have a relationship with them, you know? So bizarrely, despite not maybe looking as good as I used to, and despite the fact that I still need to lose sort of 8 to 9 kilos, being older means that I'll be qualifying them harder, and the girls, I think, naturally find that attractive, where they're just like, you're not kissing their ass just to get them into bed, because you're really not all that bothered, actually, whether you get them into bed anyway. In some ways, I prefer a nice conversation with a girl, or with people in general, and just the feeling of being close to someone, being able to turn to somebody late at night and say, hey, did you see that? Or watch a film, or watch a TV series, and just have someone to relate to and talk about stuff, you know, rather than just this relentless pursuit of sex, which is the way that it used to be for me. So I hope this resonates with you. There's a lot more to say, and I'll tell you about more of what I've been doing to get ready for this trip in other videos. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.